Here's the real reason most people lose in life. It's not because they're lazy, untalented, or unwilling to work hard. It's because they've never learned how to think straight when the heat is on. When pressure shows up, their mind scatters, their emotions hijack their focus, and they react instead of lead. That's why this audiobook exists. It's called The Art of Strategic Thinking for a reason. Because the path to big wins isn't paved by working harder than everyone else. It's built by thinking sharper than everyone else. You could work until your body breaks, but if your mind is a mess, you'll keep tripping over the same problems. Scattered thoughts create scattered lives. Emotional thinking leads to emotional choices, and emotional choices destroy progress. So here's the promise: if you master the ability to think with clarity, speed, and strategy, you will start winning in ways that once felt impossible. This isn't motivational hype. This is about rewiring your mental approach so it actually works in the real world. You're going to learn how to stop reacting and start calculating. You'll learn how to cut the noise, make faster, smarter choices, and protect your focus like your life depends on it, because it does. If you've been waiting for a mental reset, this is it. Not to just feel good for a day, but to finally take command of your direction, your energy, and your results. Everything starts here. Not with what you say, not with what you plan, not with what you post online. Everything begins with what happens quietly in your head, when no one's watching. Every choice you've ever made, every action you've ever taken, was born from a thought. If those thoughts are weak, your actions will be weak. If those thoughts are negative, your day will spiral into negativity. And if your thoughts are scattered, your life will look exactly the same, scattered. The people who win in life are not just the ones with talent or money. They are the ones who have trained their minds to think intentionally. Most people don't even realize their mind is on autopilot. They wake up, and before their feet touch the ground, their head is already filled with recycled thoughts from yesterday. Doubt, regret, stress, fear, blame. These thoughts aren't questioned. They aren't challenged. They're just accepted as truth. And the person carrying them spends the entire day reacting instead of leading. That's the cycle keeping millions of people stuck. If you want to break out of it, you have to start catching your thoughts in real time. You have to stop letting them run wild. You have to ask yourself, what am I thinking right now and why? One simple pause to ask that question can change the trajectory of your day. Here's the truth. You can't solve a problem with the same thinking that created it. If your thoughts have been steering you into frustration, confusion, or stagnation, you cannot expect those same thoughts to steer you to success. You need to step outside of your mind and evaluate it honestly. What am I feeding my brain every day? Am I filling it with distractions, drama, and negativity? Or am I feeding it clarity, goals, and purpose? Once a thought enters your system, it shapes your feelings. Those feelings influence your actions. Those actions determine your results. This is the chain reaction running your entire life. So if the thought is toxic, the result will be toxic. If the thought is weak, the result will be weak. The first step in becoming a strategic thinker is building thought awareness. When you catch yourself drifting into self-criticism, stop. When you start comparing your life to someone else's highlight reel, pause. When fear whispers, "What if you fail?" Interrupt it. Most people don't do this. They just follow the thought like a leash. But here's the shift. Instead of letting thoughts speak for you, you speak to them. You direct them. You replace the destructive ones with something stronger, clearer, and more aligned with your goals. This isn't about pretending bad things don't exist. It's not about covering pain with fake positivity. It's about taking control of your inner dialogue so it works for you, not against you. Remember this: every challenge you've ever faced began in your mind. The hesitation, the excuses, the delays, those weren't created by the world around you. They were planted by your own thinking. That's how subtle the mind can be. It convinces you to hold back, and you believe it. If you want to break this cycle, start by asking one powerful question. Is this thought helping me or hurting me? If it's hurting you, remove it. Replace it. Don't just think a little differently. Write something better down. Speak it out loud. Install it into your brain like new software. Because people who win in life don't let thoughts live rent-free in their heads. They challenge every doubt. They dismantle every fear. And they replace mental noise with laser clarity. Here's the warning: if you don't control your thinking, the world will do it for you. Social media will. The news will. Your environment will. Other people's opinions will. And you'll end up living a life that was never really yours. Chasing goals you don't care about, saying yes when you mean no. Stuck in cycles that don't serve you. When your thinking is truly your own, you stop falling for traps. You set your own pace. You play your own game. You're not just reacting to life, you're running it. That's what real strategic thinking is. It's not about thinking more. It's about thinking better. So starting today, before you check your phone, before you answer the world's demands, ask yourself, what do I want to think about today? That one decision puts you in the driver's seat. Because if you don't choose, your past will. Your habits will. Your emotions will. Control what you think before it controls you. This is where your life begins to shift. Not in some distant future, but right now, in the way you think this very minute. Every single move you make is shaping your future, whether you notice it or not. And here's the part most people miss. Life isn't built in the big, flashy moments you post about online. It's built in the quiet, everyday decisions you make when nobody's paying attention. The tone of your entire life is set by the way you handle those small, invisible moments. And the quality of those decisions depends on one thing: your mental awareness at the exact time you make them. If your mind is unclear, tired, or consumed by doubt, you will make choices that cost you progress. You'll move too quickly just to feel like you're doing something. You'll respond based on emotion instead of strategy. And when you keep doing that, you slowly build a life you don't actually want. But when you learn to make decisions with full awareness, everything changes. You stop throwing darts in the dark hoping one will hit. You stop moving in random directions. You start moving with precision. This doesn't mean overthinking every little thing. It doesn't mean paralyzing yourself with options. It means being so present in your own mind that when you make a choice, you know exactly why you're making it. Here's the trap most people live in. They're not even aware they're making choices. They're on autopilot, repeating habits from yesterday, saying yes to things that drain them, ignoring things that would move them forward. And when nothing changes, they call it bad luck. It's not bad luck. It's bad awareness. You can fix that with one question. Is this move I'm about to make pulling me forward or pushing me backward? That pause, that one conscious check-in, can stop you from repeating the same mistakes you've made for years. Awareness is like a shield. It blocks decisions that waste time, kill momentum, and drain energy. Without it, you keep falling into the same mental traps over and over again. Strategic thinkers don't just do. They measure the moment. They pause, think, and then act with intention. They don't move just to look busy. They don't rush just because there's pressure. They stop long enough to see the situation for what it is. Not what fear is screaming, not what someone else is pressuring them to do, but what's actually happening right now. That's why their next move usually works. It's not luck, it's clarity. And here's the good news. Awareness isn't a talent you're born with. It's a muscle you can train. You start by paying attention to yourself in ways most people never do. Notice how you talk when you're confident versus when you're unsure. Notice what you do when you feel pressure. Is it helpful or is it just an escape? Notice the way your energy drops when you're avoiding something important. Notice how your body reacts when you're about to make a bad choice. The more you notice, the more control you have. The more control you have, the sharper your decisions become. Ask yourself better questions throughout the day. Not just, what do I want? But why do I want it right now? Not just, should I do this? But, is this the best move for where I'm going? Those questions force your brain to slow down enough for the truth to show up. That's how you stop making the same mistakes twice. When you're under pressure, your brain wants quick relief. It will push you to move fast so you can feel safe again. But moving fast isn't the same as moving smart. Sometimes the best decision you can make is to wait. Sometimes it's to say no. Sometimes it's to let a problem breathe so you can see it clearly. You can only do that if you're aware enough to recognize that the pressure is just noise, not truth. Think about how different your life would be if the next 10 decisions you made were from complete mental clarity. No rushing, no guessing, just pure, intentional action. That's the discipline you want. That's how you move from being someone who reacts to everything into someone who builds momentum with every choice. Because anyone can act, but not everyone can act with clarity. The advantage is in being the one who does. Here's the truth. Most people are winging it. They wake up with no clear plan, no real structure, and no long-term vision. Every day, they're just reacting to whatever problem hits them first. And because they're guessing their way forward, they stay stuck in the same cycle, confused, stressed, and inconsistent. Guessing might keep you busy, but it won't take you far. Builders know this. Builders don't gamble with their future. They construct it, piece by piece, on purpose. A builder doesn't show up on the job site and say, "Let's see what happens." They arrive with a blueprint. They know the order of every step, the tools they'll need, the materials required, and what might go wrong before it ever does. That's how you need to start approaching your life. When you think like a builder, you stop hoping things will work themselves out. You start taking responsibility for creating something that lasts. A scattered mind creates a scattered life. If you're not intentionally building, you're just reacting. And when you live in reaction mode, your attention gets hijacked by things that don't matter. You scroll endlessly, get caught up in other people's problems, or spend all your energy starting over again and again. Not because you're incapable, but because you've never built a foundation strong enough to hold your progress. They don't chase shortcuts. They don't waste effort on meaningless projects just to feel productive. They keep their eyes on the outcome and adjust their steps until the structure holds. Thinking like a builder starts with one question: what am I building with the actions I'm taking today? If you can't answer that question clearly, you're not building, you're drifting. Time doesn't reward activity. Time rewards structure. If your days are chaotic, your weeks will be chaotic. If your weeks are chaotic, your months will pass without meaningful progress. And before you know it, years go by and you're still standing in the same spot, wondering what happened. Structure is what fixes that. Builders don't wait for motivation. They don't wait for the right moment. They don't depend on feeling inspired. They follow the blueprint every day, no matter how they feel. The plan might not always be exciting, but it's the reason the structure stands when others collapse. You don't need a complicated system. Your blueprint can be simple. A clear goal, the few key actions that move you toward it. A schedule that protects those actions from being stolen by distractions. Once that's in place, you stop guessing. You stop asking, "What should I do today?" You already know. And that's where real progress begins. The reason so many people keep starting over isn't lack of effort. It's lack of order. They keep building on sand, then wondering why everything falls apart. Builders don't make that mistake. They set their foundation first and then they protect it. Thinking like a builder also means protecting your mental clarity. Systems aren't just for productivity, they're for survival when life gets hard. When your energy is low, a system keeps you on track. When chaos hits, a system holds you steady. Without it, you're left scrambling, making decisions out of panic instead of purpose. That's why builders win when guessers quit. So look at your life like a construction site. What's your blueprint? What's your foundation? What materials are you using, your habits, your environment, your priorities? Because if you're not deliberate about these things, you're leaving the most important project of your life to chance. Builders never do that. They know exactly what they're creating, and they commit to it until it stands solid under pressure. Your habits are either pulling you forward or locking you exactly where you are. There's no neutral. Every repeated action is building either strength or weakness into your life. The problem? Most people never stop to question the routines they live by. They keep doing what they've always done because it feels normal, because it's comfortable, because it's what everyone else is doing. But normal isn't the same as useful, and comfort is the enemy of growth. Average doesn't happen by accident. It's built quietly, piece by piece, through small patterns that seem harmless. Sleeping in when you promised yourself an early start. Scrolling endlessly instead of working on your goals. Saying yes to commitments that drain you. putting off important decisions because they feel heavy. One day doesn't destroy you, but repeated daily, these habits shape a life that's stuck, uninspired, and painfully predictable. The truth is, most people don't even realize they're defending the very habits that are holding them back. They'll complain about their results, but protect the patterns causing them. If you want to rise above average, you have to be brutally honest with yourself. Ask the hard questions. What am I doing every day that keeps me from becoming more? What am I tolerating that I should have cut out a long time ago? Which habits are stealing my energy without giving me anything back? These aren't comfortable questions, but they are the ones that change lives. Here's the thing about habits. Once they go unchallenged, they become automatic. You do them without thinking, without questioning, without realizing the cost. That's why you must shine a light on them. Because the moment you see a weak habit clearly, you can't unsee it. You can't keep pretending it's harmless. You either decide to change it or you admit you're choosing to stay the same. Comfort is safe, but safe doesn't get you anywhere worth going. The life you want is going to cost you something. And most of the time, the price is your old patterns. If you want to grow, something has to go. Start tracking your time for 1 week. Write down where your hours actually go, not where you think they go. Be honest. Look at it in black and white. That's where you'll find the cracks. That's where you'll see the truth about how much time is being lost to habits that aren't helping you. Once you see it, the rule is simple. If a habit doesn't serve a purpose, it's gone. Replace it with something that pushes you forward, even if it's uncomfortable, even if it's boring, even if it feels like a slow climb. That discomfort is where discipline is born. And without discipline, you're just hoping for change instead of building it. Every habit you keep is either raising your standard or lowering it. If you keep tolerating habits that keep you average, your life will stay average. Raise your standard and your habits will rise with it. The good news? You don't have to overhaul everything at once. Pick one habit that's holding you back. Replace it. Track it. Watch how much difference one shift can make. Then move to the next. Change doesn't happen in a single leap. It happens in steady, deliberate steps. Each one builds trust with yourself. And that trust is power. When you start keeping promises to yourself consistently, you stop doubting whether you can change. You know you can because you're already doing it. Stop protecting habits that don't deserve to survive. Stop defending the choices that are stealing your potential. Question everything you do on repeat. Because the moment you stop running on autopilot is the moment you take control of your future. The biggest reason most people lose their edge isn't that they lack talent, resources, or ambition. It's that they take too long to decide what's actually worth their time. Their days get filled with noise. Tasks that feel urgent but mean nothing, conversations that go nowhere, obligations that drain them, and distractions disguised as opportunities. And because they never draw a clear line between what matters and what doesn't, they waste energy on the wrong things until their focus is gone. Here's the rule. The longer you wait to figure out your priorities, the more momentum you bleed. The more momentum you bleed, the harder it is to move forward. Strong, decisive people don't wait for weeks to figure out where to put their energy. They identify the essentials fast and cut the rest without guilt. This isn't about rushing, it's about clarity. When you live without clear priorities, everything starts to look equal. Every notification feels important. Every request feels urgent. Every distraction looks like something you should deal with. That's how you end up bouncing from one thing to the next, feeling busy but never actually moving the needle. Busyness isn't progress. Activity isn't achievement. The only thing that counts is whether you're consistently moving closer to what truly matters. Here's the truth. Cutting what doesn't matter isn't selfish. It's survival. It's respect for your future self. If a task, habit, or even a relationship is draining you without giving anything back, you must have the courage to let it go. Your life can't hold everything. If you want the right things to grow, you have to make room for them. That means subtracting as much as you add. Subtract the noise. Subtract the distractions. Subtract the obligations that keep you busy but not better. This level of clarity doesn't happen by accident. It's a discipline. You wake up each day and ask yourself, what are the top 3 things that deserve my full attention today? If it doesn't make the list, it doesn't get your energy. No matter how shiny it looks, no matter who else is doing it, no matter how much pressure you feel to say yes. We live in a world that's constantly fighting for your attention. Ads, opinions, trends, endless messages. If you don't protect your focus, the world will gladly spend it for you. And you'll wake up one day realizing you've been building someone else's goals instead of your own. You have to stop treating everything like it matters equally. It doesn't. The reality is brutal but simple. You don't need more hours in the day. You need fewer distractions. You don't need to do more, you need to do less but better. And here's the thing, deciding fast doesn't mean being reckless. It means being clear enough to move forward without dragging your feet. It means trusting your judgment because you've built the habit of filtering out the nonsense. That's why some people look calm and collected while others look frantic. It's not that life is easier for them. They've just stripped away everything that doesn't matter. You don't need to explain your priorities to everyone. You don't need permission to cut things out. You just need to be honest with yourself about what's worth it and what's not, and then move quickly on that decision. Because every day you delay is a day you could have been building. Every hour you waste is energy you'll never get back. So decide fast. Cut the rest. Protect what's important. Not tomorrow. Not next week. Today. Most people don't get stuck because life is impossible. They get stuck because they keep walking into the same problems without ever stopping to think them through. They react the same way, make the same rush choices, and fall into the same patterns. And when things fall apart, they act surprised, as if the problem came out of nowhere. But here's the truth. Most setbacks are predictable. The signs were there. The red flags were there. The warning patterns were there. The problem is, no one slowed down long enough to notice them. Getting stuck is rarely about lack of ability, it's about lack of preparation. When you don't think a decision through, you act on impulse. You rush to do something just to feel in control. You say yes before you understand the consequences. You move too fast, trying to fix everything at once. And then you wonder why you're overwhelmed again. Strategic thinkers operate differently. They don't panic first, they pause first. They step back far enough to see the whole picture before making their move. That pause is the difference between people who stay trapped and people who break through. If you want to stop repeating the same problems, start asking questions most people avoid. What keeps pulling me back into this situation? What did I miss the first time? What pattern am I repeating without realizing it? These questions can be uncomfortable because they often reveal that you played a role in creating the problem. But that's exactly why they're powerful. If you helped create it, you can help prevent it. The truth is, some problems are just recycled versions of the last problem you didn't solve at the root. Until you identify the root cause, you'll keep fighting the same battle in different forms. It's like patching a leaking roof without fixing the hole. It will always come back. Thinking through a problem isn't about overanalyzing or drowning in what-ifs. It's about slowing your mind down long enough to understand the reality of the situation before you act. You don't need a perfect answer, you just need a clear one. Ask yourself, what's the real cause here, not just the symptom? What would solving this look like long term? If I keep handling this the same way, what will it cost me? When you get pressure from the outside world, deadlines, expectations, criticism, your brain will scream, do something now. That's when you have to be disciplined enough to step back and say, no, I'm going to think before I move. Because moving fast doesn't mean moving smart. And doing something isn't always better than waiting for the right move. Here's the game changer. Don't just solve the problem. Solve the pattern that led to the problem. That's how you stop wasting years putting out the same fires. Strategic thinking is about efficiency. And efficiency doesn't mean rushing. It means eliminating repeat mistakes. It means remembering what the last setback taught you and refusing to ignore it this time. It means building a habit of taking 5 minutes before every big decision to ask, what does this situation really need from me right now? 5 minutes of clear thinking can save you weeks of cleanup later. When you start approaching your problems like this, you'll notice something powerful. You don't panic as much. You stop feeling trapped. You start trusting yourself under pressure. And that self-trust changes everything. Because here's the truth. Life will always have problems. The question is whether you'll face the same ones over and over, or new ones that actually move you forward. Thinking first ensures you choose the latter. Not everything deserves your energy. Not every problem needs your involvement. Not every opinion deserves a response. One of the most powerful shifts you can make for your mental peace, focus, and long-term growth is learning to choose your battles, and choosing them with a calm, clear mind. Because here's what happens when you don't. Every irritation pulls you in. Every argument drags you off course. Every small issue eats up hours you could have spent building something meaningful. When your energy is scattered across 100 little fights, you lose momentum in the battles that actually matter. A reaction is emotional. It's fast, unfiltered, and usually regrettable. A response is calm, intentional, and measured. The difference between the two can determine whether you protect your peace or destroy it. When you're calm, you can see a situation for what it is, not just how it feels in the moment. That clarity lets you decide whether it's worth your time or simply a distraction dressed as importance. Some conflicts are created just to bait you into wasting energy. Some come from people who are frustrated with their own lives and want to pull you into their chaos. Some are nothing more than background noise that doesn't need a single word from you. If you're not careful, you'll spend weeks trying to win arguments that don't improve your life one bit. You'll burn mental fuel defending things that don't need defending. You'll try to fix problems that were never yours to carry. Staying calm doesn't make you weak. It makes you untouchable. It means you're not ruled by every spike of emotion. It means you've trained yourself to pause before you pounce. It means you can protect your focus even when someone's trying to pull you into chaos. And focus is where real progress is made. The next time something triggers you, stop and ask, is this worth my energy? What am I actually trying to protect here? Will engaging in this help me move forward? Or is it just a detour in disguise? Most of the time, if you're brutally honest, the answer will be that it's not worth it. Walking away doesn't mean you lost. It means you've decided your energy is better invested elsewhere. It's choosing progress over drama. Some people never reach their potential not because they lack skill, but because they waste their best energy on meaningless battles. They're always busy, but never productive. Always in motion, but never moving forward. Choosing your battles doesn't mean avoiding responsibility. There are times you should step in when your values are tested, when your boundaries are crossed, when your mission is at risk. But even then, do it with clarity, not chaos. When you engage with purpose. Speak with control, not out of impulse. Move with precision, not out of anger. This level of control isn't built overnight. It's developed one moment at a time. Pausing when you want to lash out, breathing when you want to explode, staying silent when noise is trying to drag you in. Over time, that control becomes second nature. It turns into quiet strength that people can feel, even without you saying a word. Your results in life are shaped less by the fights you win and more by the distractions you refuse to fight at all. Protect your mind. Guard your focus. Let your progress speak louder than any argument could. Most people don't make bad decisions because they're unintelligent. They make bad decisions because they base them on feelings, assumptions, and half-remembered stories instead of actual facts. If you want sharper thinking, you need to stop guessing and start measuring reality. Because here's the truth. If you're not tracking what's real, you're reacting to an illusion. And illusions are expensive. They cost you time, energy, and opportunities you'll never get back. Your brain is wired to take shortcuts. It will tell you what feels familiar, what fits your current story, and what protects your ego, even if it's not accurate. That's why people think they're making progress when they're not. They feel productive because they're busy. They believe they're disciplined because they worked hard a few days in a row. They assume they're improving because they try. But feelings are not proof. Only results are. If you want to get better at anything, your health, your finances, your discipline, you have to stop relying on memory and start tracking the truth. Track your actions. Track your habits. Track your results. Because what gets measured gets managed. And what gets ignored quietly decays. They never pause to evaluate. They keep moving but don't check whether the moves are actually working. They repeat what feels comfortable and avoid testing what's broken. The result? Months of effort with nothing to show for it. But when you track reality, you can spot patterns early and adjust before a small mistake turns into a full crisis. Write it down. Every day. What you did, what worked, what didn't, what you avoided, what moved you forward, what slowed you down. It's not about judgment, it's about clarity. When you collect these details, you build a mind that's hard to fool, both by the outside world and by your own excuses. If your finances are tight, track every dollar that moves. If your health is slipping, track your meals, workouts, and sleep. If your focus is low, track how you spend your first 2 hours every day. It doesn't take hours. It takes 5 to 10 minutes. But those minutes create a mirror that never lies. Winners don't make decisions in the dark. They make them based on proven patterns. And patterns don't reveal themselves unless you're tracking. When you can look at your life in numbers, not just memories, you stop wondering, is this working? You see where you're winning and where you're falling short. Then you can double down on what's effective and cut what's not fast. When your decisions are rooted in reality, you stop second-guessing yourself. You stop overthinking. You stop chasing every shiny new idea because you already know what's producing results. That kind of clarity gives you speed. And in life, speed without waste is a massive advantage. Don't wait until you feel stuck to check reality. Make it a daily habit. Anchor your growth to facts, not feelings. Because the longer you wait to measure, the harder it is to course correct. But when you track consistently, you stay sharp, you stay focused, and you stay connected to what actually works. Tracking reality might feel uncomfortable at first, but over time, it becomes your greatest source of power, because facts don't just reveal the truth, they reveal the fastest way forward. There's a moment in life that changes everything. It's the moment you stop waiting for someone else to fix things and decide to take full ownership of where you're headed. That's when your power comes back. Because the truth is, no one is coming to build your habits for you. No one is coming to hand you discipline. No one is coming to carry you through the tough seasons. People may care, they may encourage, they may even guide, but the work, the change, the follow-through, that's all on you. There's nothing wrong with wanting mentors, partners, or friends who push you forward. But needing someone to save you, that's a trap. It's what keeps people stuck for years, waiting for the right connection, the perfect opportunity, the lucky break. And while they're waiting, time is slipping away, progress is on hold, and the life they want is getting further out of reach. Not because they lack ability, but because they're stuck in the wrong mindset. The fastest way to get unstuck is to lead yourself like no one else will. Wake up asking, if this was 100% my responsibility, what would I do differently today? When you stop expecting someone else to push you, you start building your own engine. You don't wait for motivation. You create it. You don't need applause to follow through. You follow through because that's who you are now. When you lead yourself, you stop blaming circumstances. You stop using the lack of support as an excuse. You stop letting outside opinions slow you down. You realize something powerful. If you succeed, it's because you showed up. If you fail, it's because you didn't. There's no hiding from that, but there's also no greater freedom than knowing the outcome is in your hands. You stop letting how you feel decide what you do. You build systems that keep you consistent even when you're tired. You set higher standards for yourself, not because someone told you to, but because you've seen the cost of lowering them. You remove habits that drain you because you're done carrying dead weight. This isn't about becoming cold or cutting everyone out. It's about becoming so responsible for your own path that no matter who stays or leaves, you keep moving. The days you feel tired, the days you feel invisible, the days you're not sure the effort is even working, those are the days that define you. Most people slow down in those moments. Leaders move harder, not because it's easy, but because they've decided their future is worth the discomfort. You are the one who lives with your choices, your habits, your results. No one else is as invested in your outcome as you are. So don't hand over the steering wheel. Don't wait for permission. Don't hope someone else will make you do the things you already know you need to do. When you lead yourself, you stop drifting and start building. You stop hoping for a lucky break and start creating the kind of opportunities that lucky breaks are made of. The day you decide to live like no one's coming to help is the day you start becoming the kind of person who doesn't need rescuing, because you've built the strength, the habits, and the mindset to carry yourself. Every single day, your mindset is either building you into someone who wins for life or slowly dismantling your potential. It's not about how talented you are. It's not about how much potential you have. It's about whether your mind can carry you through the days when things feel slow, unclear, or unfair. Because here's the hard truth. Motivation fades, emotions fluctuate, and excitement comes and goes. The only thing that keeps you moving forward through all of it is a mindset you've trained to show up no matter what. Anyone can get lucky once. Anyone can have a burst of motivation and make short-term progress. But winning long-term means building habits, patterns, and mental discipline that don't collapse when life gets hard. It's about staying focused when results are slow. It's about thinking clearly when pressure builds. It's about showing up on the days when no one notices and no one cares, because you care. They let small mental leaks go unchecked. They let doubt settle in and stay. They let distractions feel more urgent than discipline. They start thinking short-term and stop planning for the bigger picture. And it doesn't happen in one big moment. It happens in tiny shifts, one lazy thought at a time, until their edge is gone. You can't fake a strong mindset. You either train it daily or you fall into patterns that weaken it. And it's not about repeating feel-good phrases. It's about structure, clarity, and consistency. It's waking up and asking, what does the version of me that wins long-term need to think about today? Then aligning your actions with that answer, even if it's uncomfortable. Most people's mindset changes with the weather. If the day goes well, they feel strong. If something goes wrong, they spiral. That's not stability. That's mental volatility. A long-term winner builds a mindset that holds steady regardless of what's happening externally. When your thinking stays strong, your direction stays steady. Start your day with intention. Don't roll out of bed and let the world set your tone. Decide your focus before anything else gets in. Keep promises to yourself. Self-respect grows when you follow through, especially when no one is watching. Reset quickly. A bad hour doesn't have to become a bad day. A bad day doesn't have to become a bad week. Think long-term, stop chasing quick wins, and start building systems you can maintain for years. Your mindset is forged on the days you want to quit. When it would be easier to stop, when results are invisible, when you're questioning if it's even worth it, that's when what you do matters most. Do you retreat and wait for the feeling to pass? Or do you move anyway, reminding yourself why you started? Every time you choose the second option, your mental armor gets thicker. Not every voice deserves your attention. Not every opinion deserves your energy. Not every conversation deserves your reaction. The wrong environment will destroy your mindset faster than failure ever could. So set boundaries. Guard your focus. Align your surroundings with the person you're becoming. A long-term winning mindset isn't about rushing. It's about moving with purpose. You know you've got time, but you don't waste it. You stay patient, but not passive. You build slowly, but you build every single day. Anyone can have a good week. Anyone can stick to a plan when things are exciting. The question is, who are you when it's not exciting? Who are you when the praise stops, the results slow, and the grind feels endless? That version of you, that's your real mindset. From this point on, you commit to thinking with clarity even when emotions pull you off track. Acting with discipline even when motivation is gone. Protecting your focus even when distractions come dressed as opportunities. Not for a week, not for a month, but for life. Because winning once is luck. Winning for life is a choice. A choice you make every single day, without excuse, without delay, without waiting for the perfect moment. If you've made it this far, you're already different from most. Now make it permanent. Every challenge can be outsmarted if your mind is trained for it. Every setback can be used as leverage if your perspective is strong enough. From here forward, you're not reacting, you're leading. You're not hoping, you're building. You're not stuck, you're strategic. Stay sharp. Stay disciplined. Stay in control. And never stop improving.